Hey, Ruben here. So for chapter six, I'll just start by reading the questions and going over my responses to them. Find and categorize examples of behaviors or actions, excluding examples from the textbook. For each of the four quadrants, the behaviors and actions may come from the following: personal experiences, work experiences, recent events, and historical events. So for quadrant one, ethical and legal, I chose changing protocol in modern medicine. ARDS was big in respiratory care. That's what the field I'm working in. And they changed the protocol on how we treat patients that have ARDS. It's just the ARDSNet protocol, and it's a whole new protocol of things to do when we come across some of these patients. For quadrant two, ethical and illegal, I chose using cannabis as medication. It is currently still illegal here in the United States, but it is ethical when you're using it to treat a medication. Why not use something that can provide you relief or even treat some of the problems that you're having? Quadrant three, ethical and legal. So I chose lying to your boss to get a day off. Um, it is not illegal to do, but it is definitely unethical to do. And for quadrant four, unethical and illegal, I chose Apple slowing down their products when they sent you updates. They got in trouble for this by the law that not only was it found to be unethical, but also illegal. Um, for example, two, for each of your behavior or action, identify the ethical principles and the relevant laws. So for quadrant one, the example that I gave of changing protocol with the ARDS patients, that is the category of controlling, just kind of controlling the work environment and adapting to the new laws. For example, two, I put rationalization, and that was for the using cannabis as medication. You rationalize to kind of decide whether it is good medication for you, and also rationalization on the part of lawmakers for them to decide to not allow this at this point. They're rationalizing in some way to back up their belief system on whether it should or should not be legal. For number three, unethical and legal, lying to get a or lying to your boss to get the day off. That's you're probably using some kind of defense mechanism, saying that it's going to be okay. They can do it without me, even though maybe that day they are short staffed and things could possibly go a lot smoother if you were there. Um, And number four, moral blindness. I believe Apple was just being morally blind to some of the things that they were doing, especially to slow down their products at the time when they were doing that. Number three, based on what you learned in this chapter, do you see new aspects to the examples you found in and categorized in question one? I think for me it was I mean I definitely see new aspects. I just kind of see both sides and I'm looking at both sides. Whereas before, I would only look at maybe the ethics behind it and not the legality. And other times, I would look at the legality and not even think, is this ethical? And it's just kind of like it gets me more thinking of like why I believe what I believe, why I do what I do. Is it because it's unethical? Is it because it's illegal? If something was legal but unethical, would I still be doing it? And it gets me going down that thought process. As a healthcare manager, how can you use what you learned about the quadrants? And that goes back to my answer on question three. Just better decision making, always keeping ethics first, and not trying to do things unethical, even if it's legal to do. If it's unethical, it's still wrong. Um, which quadrant did I have the most trouble finding an example? I had the most trouble finding ethical and illegal um, until I finally thought about cannabis, and that's kind of like I was like, oh, that's ethical for people to kind of consume, but it is currently illegal. I think the reason why I had the most trouble finding this example is because usually when things are ethical, they tend to become legal. So that's my short video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for taking the time to review. Right, bye.